guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming a very fun first impressions video from a brand I love so much. So if you guys are interested in hearing my first impression thoughts, seeing some swatches, as well as comparisons of the new Menagerie Flight Club palette, then just keep watching. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Karen Harris. I like to film tan girl friendly makeup videos here on my channel. If you like first impressions, anti-hauls, will I buy it, and lots of swatch parties, then this is the place for you. I would highly recommend subscribing to my channel, turning on that post notification bell so you are notified every time I post a new video. I am planning on posting even more videos this month, so yeah, if you like a lot of makeup content, beauty content, then this is definitely the spot for you. Now, without further blabbering, let's get into it. Okay guys, so I was so thrilled when Menagerie said that they were sending me these palettes. I actually placed the order for the Flight Club palette as well as the Arthurine blush palette, and the owner was so kind. She had reached out saying she was sending this to me, so I did actually end up receiving this in PR, which was honestly wonderful because it really helps my channel out. So you guys will see in the comparison portion of this video, I definitely have a bunch of purple palettes, but I still think this one is unique because of the color story. It's very much a monochromatic purple palette, except this like one shade called Downside Up, which is a brow bone shade for me, which I'm not so mad about because you can use it to set your primer if you want. I personally don't like to do that. But everything else in this palette is scrumptious. So let's go ahead and swatch this palette because I am wearing it on my face, but I haven't swatched the palette yet. And I'm so pumped to check out some of these metallics already. So I'm going to go ahead and dip into this. So here is the first row. I have Fruity Feast, Squeak, Sky Puppy, and Nocturnal. I use Sky Puppy and Nocturnal in my look today. I just feel like this is going to swatch really nicely because the eyeshadows felt really pigmented when I was working with them, and they build on each other so nicely as well. So there are the swatches of the first row. Okay, so the next row has 3 mattes and 1 metallic, and we have Hanging Out, Downside Up, A Little Baddie, and Flighty. So there are the swatches of the middle row. And I do apologize if you guys hear we have a fire detector that's losing its battery or something. It keeps beeping, so I'm super sorry about that. And then the last row has 2 metallics and 2 mattes, and that last shade is a duochrome. So we have Flying Fox, Mega Bat, Wing It, and After Dark, and that's the duochrome shade. It's like a purple to like an orange bronzy kind of color. Okay, so there is the last 4 swatches in here are all of the swatches of the Menagerie Flight Club palette. I'm just gonna hold my arm up here for a little bit so you guys can get a nice look at these shades. I definitely had so much fun putting these shades on my eyes. So let's go ahead and take a look at how I created this eyeshadow look and what this lip is, as well as the blush shade I have on today. So we're gonna film the demo portion of this video. I'm so excited. I haven't even swatched this palette yet, but it has the most amazing bright purpley shades. So I'm very excited to dig into the mattes and the shimmer shades. I've typically had good luck with Menagerie Cosmetics, so very excited. I did show this PR package I received from Sigma in a different video, but I only ended up using one of the brushes in this deluxe blending set. But really quickly, I just want to talk to you guys about the brushes. So some of these brushes are new to Sigma, but some of these are existing brushes. So this is the Detail blending brush. This is the E27. This is really nice. It's like a flat, kind of awesome in the crease tapered brush, so you can really get in there and it's not going to really diffuse the look, which I love. Then we have the E25, which is just a little bit bigger but similar shape to the E27, so it's just a bigger blending brush. And then the new brush is called the Max blending brush. So this is the E25 Max, and as you can see, it's just significantly bigger than the original E25. So if you have more lid space, this is going to be really nice for you to kind of attack your crease with. So those are the two existing ones, and this is the new brush from Sigma called the E25 Max. So then they also sent me their E38, which is another famous blending brush from Sigma. This is a diffused crease. So as you can see, it's a fluffy brush and it has more of a flower, so you can definitely diffuse your crease. Then we have the tapered blending, which is the E40. Just looks very similar, but more hair. So it's going to be bigger, fluffier. If you have a bigger crease, that's going to work really well. And then we again have the E40 Max, which is basically the exact same as the E40, except it's just much, much bigger. Again, if you have a large crease, this is going to be so nice because there is a lot of brush to be had. And if you don't have quite as big eye sockets, this would be a really nice detailed highlighter brush too. I know a lot of people like to use things like this for highlighter as well. So those are the more diffused crease brushes, and this is the new one they're launching. And then we have the small tapered blending. This is again an existing brush. It is so nice. I used this in my last video where I showed these brushes. Really great for detail work. Then we have two new brushes, so I'm guessing these are going to be kind of the expanded version of this brush. So we have the medium tapered blending, which is the E49. So this is the 45, this is the 49, and again, very similar shape, just more hair, and it looks to be a little bit taller. And then we have the E45 Max, which is basically just the larger version of this brush. So as you can see, it's got a little bit of a taper top there. Not as tapered as this one, but again, these are just really nice blending brushes, and I'm just so grateful to Sigma for sending me these brushes, because if you know anything about YouTube, we're always looking for good brushes, and it's always nice to have some clean brushes show up because I constantly feel like I'm washing brushes. So I just quickly wanted to tell you guys about those new brushes. And like I said, these are launching on March 23rd, and you can use my code to save 10%. Typically, Sigma does have better discount codes on their website, so try and look for a 30% off code. And if you use the link in my description box, it still counts towards me, so that does help me out. Thank you in advance if you use any of my codes to shop. I just always want to thank you guys for doing that. So anyway, covered the Sigma brushes really quick. I don't think I'm going to be able to sneak that into any other video anytime soon, so I just wanted to make sure I had covered all those new brushes I had received from them. Okay, so thank you for bearing with me. Let's get into the Menagerie palette. Now, I did prep my eyes with the P. Louise base. You guys know that's like one of my favorite things to use on my eyes. So I'm going to go into one of the Sigma brushes I just showed you guys. This is the E38, and I think I'm just going to go on with the shade A Little Baddie, which is like this pretty purpley shade. And I'm just going to coat my brush really nicely with that. Dust it off a little bit, and we're going straight into the crease here, and I'm just going to lay that shade down. Okay, so I really like how that shade worked. It's definitely more of like a lilac shade, very mid-tone purple. Next, I want to go ahead and go into this like berry shade called Flying Fox. I'm just going to use the same brush, and I like to dust off my Menagerie shadows because they definitely kick up a lot of dust in the pan. It's not the end of the world, but I just like to let you guys know that they are a little bit more of a dusty formula, but just making sure you're dusting off your brush so that you don't get a ton of fallout on your face, especially if you like to do your face makeup first and then your eyeshadow after. I would recommend dusting off your brush. So I'm just directly putting this over that first shade I use, which is A Little Baddie, and it's pretty much like a very opaque purple, so it covered that up. And then I do want to darken up the outer corner a little bit because that's how I like to do all of my makeup looks. So I'm going to try this shade called Flighty. It does look a little bit lighter than Flying Fox, but maybe the two shades mixed together will do the trick. So I'm just going to throw that on the outer corner and see if I can help darken it up. I don't think it's really doing exactly what I wanted, but it is making a really fun purpley shade on the outer half, so I don't mind. And I'm just gonna blend that kind of all the way to the brow bone as well. So I'm just gonna go into the Blend Bunny palette with this Detailed Diffuse Crease brush from Sigma, and I'm gonna go into the black just cause I do want to add a little bit of black on the very outer corner. I'm sure you guys have a palette or a eyeshadow that you maybe like to reach for that's a really good black. So I know some people like to have a black or like a brow bone shade in every palette, but personally I think if you just have a really great black eyeshadow that you like in a palette that already exists, then just leave that on your makeup table and pull it in for looks, and then we can have more fun color stories in palettes, in my humble opinion. So I have a few metallic options. We have Fruity Feast, we have Hanging Out, we have Mega Bat, After Dark, and Nocturnal. Nocturnal definitely looks like one of those beautiful blue-purple duochromes, so I think I'm gonna want to try that one. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this flat brush and I'm gonna go into Nocturnal. And I know their metallics are usually really pigmented, so I could probably, yeah, I mean, I can definitely make that work without wetting the brush, but I also feel like this formula is gonna do really well if I wet it. So I'm just taking this spray that I always keep on my desk. Oh my gosh, this is such a pretty color. I think like shades like this, it's like you've probably seen them before, but it's like they never get old. It's like the pretty blue purple duochrome, and it's just really spreading out nicely on my lid. And then I'm just gonna go back into that Sigma brush and blend the crease a bit because it is definitely wild up there. And I did get a little bit of fallout, but I can clean that up when I do my face makeup. And then I'm taking that smaller Sigma brush and going back into Flying Fox and just tapping on a little bit more of that matte at the outer corner just to blend the metallic into the matte shade at the end. And it's done. It's very simple, very easy, but I had a lot of fun trying the palette, so I'm gonna clean up my face and I will be right back. So I'm almost done with this look. Menagerie did send me over the Arthurine blush palette. I actually did the swatches for this palette on the Menagerie website, which was such a cool opportunity for me because I've never done something like that before, but they did send me the final palette because I actually worked with the samples. So I'm so pumped because this is what the inside of this palette looks like. I haven't tried it on my face yet, so this will be my first time trying this formula on my face in the completed palette. I'm going to use a bit of a dirty brush, but I think it'll be fine, and there's some great shades in here. So I think the shade Sugarberry, Blueberry, and Bearberry would look so beautiful with this very purple look. So I'm gonna go into, I think, Blueberry, and I'm just gonna lightly coat this brush. I think this is gonna be a really pigmented blush if I had to guess. And I'm just gonna start off on the back here and just kind of tap that on. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. And with this collection, they did launch a blush as well. It was like a glowy blush, and I did order that on the launch day, but she actually ended up sending me my palette and this blush palette in PR, so I'm guessing I'm getting the blush at a later time for my order, but I will keep you guys posted on that. I was so curious and I was like, let me just get it. This is their first shimmery blush, so I was very curious, but ooh, this shade is so pretty with this particular look, I think. I mean, this is like very extremely purple. I don't know that I would necessarily wear this lip. I mean, I would, but I also think you could just do a neutral lip. I just wore this one because it did launch as part of the Flight Club collection. So this is the lip in Mirabelle, and I did grab this shade from Menagerie called Hyacinth. I do have a full lip swatch video of their original lippies that they sent me, but I just wanted to do a quick comparison of Hyacinth versus Mirabelle in case you already own this color. Maybe you don't need both, or maybe you do because you love purple lipstick. So the new shade is definitely a bit darker than Hyacinth. I feel like Hyacinth is more of a pastel purple. This one's definitely more of a true purple shade, and I really like the Menagerie liquid lipsticks because they're very opaque. I did do 2 layers just because I wanted it to be very even, but it's a nice watery formula, so you can build up the layers and it won't turn into a very crusty formula. So I do like that. It is a little bit drying, but I don't typically mind that because I do like liquid lipstick. So I wanted to show you guys the blush as well as the lipstick in this video. And I'm going to quickly apply highlighter, finish off this look, and throw on some earrings, of course. Okay, so I added the highlighter. This is a new product that's coming soon. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I was sent it in PR and I wanted to test out the highlighter and the bronzer. So you guys will see that very, very soon on my channel. It hasn't been revealed yet, so anyway, this is the finished look. So let me give you guys some of my thoughts on these new goodies I received from Menagerie. So the eyeshadow palette first. I think this is gonna be super fun to continue playing with. If you are a fan of purple eyeshadows, of course, you're probably already on the pre-order for this palette. But anyway, I do have the Violet Ink palette also from Menagerie. This was limited edition, so it's no longer available for purchase, but I really like how they discontinued this one and then gave us like a 12-pan eyeshadow palette full of purples, because this one is like a great dip in the pool. I feel like this palette is just like this Violet Ink, but even more souped up. So I kind of love that for Menagerie. And then I just grabbed some other palettes that reminded me of this color story. So this is funny, but before I had seen the reveal of the Flight Club palette, I did end up purchasing this Viseart palette. I haven't used this one yet, but I definitely thought that they kind of were very similar color stories. I do feel like this palette definitely has more purples, where this one is more of a neutral plus some pops of purple type palette. So if you have this one, maybe you don't need it, but honestly, I haven't tested it out yet, and I haven't bought a Viseart palette in a while, which is why I bought this one to try out. And of course, in true Karen Harris fashion, I haven't gotten to it yet. I also grabbed the Violets palette by Juvia's Place to just kind of show you guys side-by-side comparisons. As you can see, this one is definitely more true purples, like grape shades, whereas you do have some variety in the Menagerie palette. And then I also grabbed this palette, which was one of my favorite palettes from 2020, and I feel like these two look a little bit more similar. So if you have the Juvia's Place palette and you're not trying to spend money, I feel like this would be a good way to dupe the vibes of the Menagerie palette. I just grabbed this Violets palette from Profusion because I happen to have it. And this is a $5 palette, so maybe this isn't really even fair to compare something that is so affordable to something a little bit more pricey. But hey, not everybody is buying every single palette, so if you have that Profusion palette, maybe you can kind of dupe the vibes. I also grabbed the It's My Pleasure palette from ColourPop. This is one of their older monochromatic eyeshadow palettes. Still one of my favorites. I recently decluttered my monochromatic palettes, and this is actually one that survived the declutter. So if you are able to grab the ColourPop palette, I would recommend. Again, I still love the Menagerie stuff. Obviously, it's an indie brand, women-owned. I always want you guys to support indie brands over a brand like ColourPop, but this is a good palette as well. And then I just grabbed She's in Parties from Melt. Mine looks like a disaster. But this palette is definitely a palette that's way grungier, and I think these would actually pair and play really well together. If you're reaching for like a more deepening up shade, I would probably go into this shade Mean Streak from the She's in Parties palette, and I really like the formula of this palette, but as you can see, mine is falling apart. I've never had a situation like that with the Menagerie palette. So I just wanted to include some comparisons for you guys, but overall I'm really excited about this palette. It's another really good one from Menagerie, and I'm sure they will be restocking soon and opening up more pre-orders, so definitely make sure you are following them on Instagram. Really quick to talk about the Arthurine palette. Like I said, when I did the swatches for the Arthurine palette, I was working with samples, so I haven't actually been able to test out the product in the actual palette yet. So I will definitely continue to use this. I will definitely be showing this in more videos because I do have way more blushes to try. I only tried one blush. It was my first time, but it's a beautiful color. I'm so excited. I feel like this palette was so revolutionary when it launched last year, so I'm very excited to have it in my hands. So thank you so much to the brand for sending these items over. Thank you so much to you guys for checking out this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Are you kind of over purple palettes? Are you so excited for this one? You can't get enough of purple palettes. You guys know I love talking to you in my comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next video soon. Bye guys!